Good morning, Frankmeisters. What's going on, everybody? Been here since 5 a.m. at the State Capitol in Indianapolis, Indiana for the arguments with the Supreme Court against Richard Allen and the Delphi case. Good morning, Kristen, Ruckus, Coach Kev. How are you guys doing this morning?
Good morning.
Good morning,
Good morning, guys.
Yeah, me and Rescue got here about 5 a.m. this morning, and they let us right in to sit at the door, so we didn't have to stand outside in the freezing. It was freezing this morning.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Murder Sheet's here, and one of Richard Allen's attorneys is here. Labrato's here. So, and we got to go back. We got to go stand in line at 10:30 with our numbers that we got drawn for. Me and Reggie, we've already been guaranteed that we're getting in because we were number 1 and number 2.
Okay.
So we will be in the courtroom. And I already explained to you guys behind the scenes what I'm going to attempt to do. And if I can't, I will be texting you guys during the live to let you know, guys, what's going on. But it's pretty empty here, guys. I mean, I'm really surprised.
I can't believe it. I mean, I really thought there would be a lot more people there.
Right.
But
You know, I was shocked.
Different. They don't let a lot of people in.
There's 40 seats in here for the public. That's including that's not including the media and the family. So those seats are already taken. So there's an extra 40 seats after that. But there ain't nobody here.
Is there any national news there, Frank?
Oh, there's all kinds of news crews here. All kinds.
What about Richard Allen's family?
What's that?
Richard Allen's family, are they there?
No, I haven't seen Kathy or his mom. I haven't seen Becky or any of them. They were supposed to be here. They're supposed to be here at 10 o'clock. So,
okay.
But you guys do what you do. You guys do what you do on your end while I'm in the courtroom. Like I said, if I can't do what I want to do in there, I will be texting you guys, keeping you up to date every minute that I can.
Okay.
I've got all your guys' phone numbers. I can send multiple texts or whatever to keep you guys informed of what's going on. So, but like I said, we talked about what I was planning to do behind the scenes. So I'm going to attempt it. And if it don't work, we'll just do the texting part.
Yeah. If you want to take a second, Frank, now and set up a group text, with everybody that you want to involve with it, that way you're all set and you don't have to fiddle with it.
Right. Okay.
Hey, Frank, 2 quick questions. One, is there bad weather? Is that maybe keeping people away? And my other question is there any scuttlebutt about Westerman in the courthouse going around?
No, I have not heard anybody talk about Westerman, and the weather's not bad. It's about 20-something degrees here, but it's a lot warmer than it was when we got here at 5 a.m. I can tell you that right now. There was no way we were going to stand out there for 3 hours to get inside. So one of the state troopers just let us in and sit inside to warm.
Oh, cool.
So,
dude, I don't want to hear it. It's 62 degrees here. I'm freezing.
It's my ass, Ruckus. It's my ass.
I'm moving to Miami. Bump this.
This is nuts.
Look, I got long sleeve.
Hey, Renee Days, thank you so much for the super sticker.
Yes. Let me see. Kristen's a new member. Renee, thank you.
I think it's rainy days. Oh, looks like Frank. Hopefully Frank didn't get in trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, here he's back.
I keep forgetting I'm on my phone doing this. I don't do StreamYard from my phone. Sorry, guys.
Did you figure out how to flip it, Frank? So if you wanted to talk to someone, okay, good.
Yes, I did.
Hey, Sleuth.
So,
welcome, Sleuth.
Sleuth, Grizz.
Hey, Grizz.
Yeah, Grizz, Sleuth.
One of my favorite people, Vince Account. Good to see you.
This is the cool kid table.
Oh, you know what's so cool about this at the State House is that they got these old phone booths that you can actually go in and talk on the phone without any distraction or any noises. That's where I'm at now.
That's
right outside the courtroom.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
The
nice.
kids don't know what phone booths are.
Well, here comes rescue, guys.
Uh-oh. There she is.
Hey.
How are you, my dear?
Just talking to you.
Oh, I'm on a delay, so I hear you, but I can't see you.
You're fine.
Oh, hi,
Thank you
Kristen.
so
look
much.
great.
Yeah.
So-
Thanks
so
for
what-
going, guys? Thanks for going. We all appreciate it.
Hey, you know how I work, guys. I don't miss none of this shit because I want to hear it firsthand. I don't want to hear it from the newscasters or anything because we all know how they like to twist shit around. So,
Yeah.
Hey, Captain Howdy.
Yeah, Captain.
How
Howdy,
are
what's
you?
up?
oh,
We got
Captain,
We got all the good people in here.
Oh,
All right,
wait.
so Frank,
Sorry.
you go into that phone booth as Frank, but you come out as Frankmeister, like Superman does.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
An exchange.
What you
I
got
can
underneath that
understand and come out as Frankmeister.
Superman?
Right.
Doc's dude.
Yeah, the Docs dude.
The Docs dude. There you go. You need the shirts. Docs dude.
Oh, hold on here. Rescue got me a sweatshirt for Christmas that has my logo on the front, a Frankmeister picture, and then she's got to put on the back of it, Doc's guy.
There you
Nice.
Hey, Shane, how are you?
go. Hey,
But-
Shane.
You guys do what you guys want to do on the channel. Just, you know what I expect, because I don't want to hear no shit afterwards, guys. Ruckus, especially you, dude.
I'm being Have. I'm being Have
For
today.
right now, until he pops open that Coors Light.
No, it's not noontime yet.
Oh boy! But
I'm drinking coffee.
He'll
Yes.
be on his best behavior.
You guys do what you guys want to do on the channel. Just be cool about everything, and I'll be back as soon as I can, guys.
Sounds
Right on.
All right, guys.
Yep.
All right, Frank.
We'll get with you here in a little bit.
Okay.
All right. Oh, I can't hear the stream. But no,
Now you're stuck.
do that.
Don't ask me for no help.
All right, I want to ask both of you guys a question. I'll start with you, Kristen.
Okay.
What do you see happening here? What do you think? And speculate. I know we can't read minds and all that, but what do you speculate is going to happen?
If I had to bet, which I'm not going to bet on this, but because this case is so crazy, I would say that Judge Gull is going to remain, and that the new attorneys will go forward.
Okay, Kev.
I kind of think I agree with Kristen, and not because of my stance on the case. And I don't know a lot about the law. Every time I read a document and I swear I know what it means, I don't, because attorneys can't just say what they mean. But I think that's what's going to happen just from watching other people's legal opinions, not my own. And I kind of developed one from there. But I can tell you one thing, I can almost guarantee you nobody on YouTube or social media will deviate from what they thought before going in. I feel the same way with trial. People are still going to say they got it right or they got it wrong. My guy's right, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know the law, but I would guess that just based on other people that I've watched, Mark Lopez, guys like that, the prosecutors and the defense diaries. I watch them all. So that's my guess.
Okay. Well, I think that the Supreme Court, they're going to take everything. Look, they're looking at things that we don't know about as well. So, it's kind of hard. And like I said, I wanted all of us to speculate because I think it's fun. Yeah. But I really don't have a dog in the fight when it comes to this. Everybody knows I'm pro Ellie, so they've already done their job. This stuff here is just a thorn in the side to me. It's just wasting time. But it doesn't matter which crew they have in there. I want a trial as soon as possible.
Yes.
So if she reinstates the old attorneys, I'm not going to be upset at all, But I doubt they're going to do that. I don't think Gull overstepped her boundaries. I know people think that she has, but even if you watch traffic court on or divorce court on YouTube, the people that are on the losing side are always pissed off at the judge. You know what I mean? So no matter which way it goes here, one side's going to be upset with what the Supreme Court says. But I think they're going to leave Gull in. I agree with you guys. I think they're going to leave Gull in, and they're going to move forward with these new attorneys.
How
Now,
long do
here's
you think till a decision comes, Ruckus or Kristen? Just, I mean, is there a set date they have to come within, or what do we think?
No, but because this case is so high profile and it's a criminal case, they know the importance of making this case move forward quickly. It's already been delayed because of this. So
Okay.
I look for their decision. It'll be a written decision, and I believe it'll come quickly. Now,
yeah, I think so as well.
I don't know if it'll be a couple of weeks, but it'll be quick.
And they're just going to rule on what was sent to them. So after this, I think that there'll be a very quick hearing with Gull as well, with the new attorneys, to establish, protocols and how we're going to move forward with this to avoid, everything that just happened.
That was my next question. Do you think that the court system has like a date queued up already to say, no matter what happens, when we get this decision within a week, we're going to have some kind of hearing with the old attorneys, new attorneys, old judge, whatever, to keep the ball rolling? Is that something they do in the court system, like anticipate a decision within 2 or 3 weeks, and then say 2 or 3 weeks out puts us in whatever, the second week of February, let's leave some time open for a hearing for whoever comes from this case? Is that possible?
The Supreme Court's not going to decide any of that. That's going to be decided back in the court in Allen County or in Gull's court if she's left in. If they change the judge, we could be looking at some delay.
So that's even more of a delay then. That was kind of I didn't ask it good. So if they have to replace the judge, then you're really talking about a delay as opposed to just the defense team and they could kind of pick up where they left off.
Because they have to clear that judge's calendar to take over this case and do all these hearings. And you have to remember there's a lot of motions that haven't had any response from the court yet in this case.
It looks like Baldwin is there. I just got a text from Rescue and Rosie. So they're both there.
I expected them to be there. They're gonna be there because this is part of their motion to get themselves back in.
Well, I can't see if it's not favorable for them, because the folks that filed this are appellate attorneys, Winky and that whole crew. They're appellate attorneys. They know their shit.
Sure.
So they did their best. They swung for the fence with this motion. So if this doesn't work, I don't think they really have any kind of recourse to go back and try again. The Supreme Court is just gonna, make their ruling and take it from there to go right back down to the lower court, which would be Judge Gull. Now, what do you guys think about her new appointment as head judge in Allen County? To me, from what I understand, that clears her calendar now. That opens her up to spend more time with this, because she said that we still have to deal with this Frank's motion. Mm-hmm. We have to deal with that. That just it's not going to go away. And if they can prove that those detectives or anybody on the prosecution side lied to the judge or purposely omitted exculpatory evidence, well, then they should throw all that evidence out that they found, the fruits of that whole search. But I can't see it happening. Getting a judge to sign a warrant is not as easy as people think it is.
Right.
At all.
I have a really, really close friend who's a judge, and obviously it's in the state of Illinois. It's not in Indiana, but he's been a judge for 25 years, and he knows the law, and he does not see that happening either. And we talk about this case all the time.
On her getting the administrative judge or the boss judge or whatever you want to call it, from my understanding, that's voted on by the other judges. Is that correct? That's not just like an appointment that's made. So right. to me, my personal opinion, and I'm looking at the politics of this now and the optics of this, not the law of it. That's me thinking that all the judges are saying there's some bullshit going on, and we're standing up with Gull. and this isn't like it's a judge thing. It's like she's right, and all these judges think that. And I don't think there's anything like, sinister going on, but it's almost like a stamp of approval from all of them that they think Gall's doing the right thing. We just made her the boss judge. You know what I mean? So that's how everyone knows how you feel. The Supreme Court's probably not involved in that. And one thing real quick on the Frank's motion, I was talking about it the other night. It's kind of popped in my head. If the Frank's motion, if the defense really believed the Frank's motion and really believed the guards were Odinites, okay, and they didn't seal this motion and something were to happen to Richard Allen, wouldn't that be on the attorneys? Wouldn't you want to seal this if this guy's going to be killed by the guards and you make this public? Doesn't that go back on them? I mean, if this guy were to be killed by Odinist guards, and let's say that that's all true, let's just speculate right now, it's all true, and they put that out to the public, maybe the Odinist guards didn't know that they were on to them, but they did that. So isn't that I don't want to say a heinous thing, but so that tells me, in my opinion, they don't believe it. The defense doesn't believe this. That's
I have a hard time even entertaining any of that. I've done both, dude. I've done law enforcement and I worked in the prison system. It would be impossible for that many people. Hey, Grizz, I didn't see Grizz was in here.
Saying someone's a snitch and putting that out in a motion to let everybody know that we know that these guys did it and they're going to try to do that. So to me, I don't think they'd have done that if they believed it. They would have sealed that. They would have sealed that so the Odinists didn't know that they were onto them.
Right, and they would have investigated them.
Well, stop and think about the Frank's motion, though. They were willing to put people's names in the public domain that haven't been charged, that haven't had anything. I mean, to me, that in itself, by not redacting that before they put it out, says a lot about them and the integrity of their attorney-ease or whatever you want to call it with them, because that's always bothered me.
I think the mission was to get this in front of the public and the social media, not to protect their client. And I don't blame the new attorneys. I would continue down the Odinist path because, in my opinion, a lot of people have bought this for whatever reason. In their opinion, they bought it. You're gaining support. So I don't blame the new attorneys. I mean, I don't think they have anything to defend them. And here's the big thing with Allen. And we should be talking about guilt or this or that today, but his phone, his regular phone, he left at home and went to the trails and he was looking at another phone. If he was somewhere else, they could easily say his phone, his regular phone that had all the proper numbers and stuff on it, he was here at his house. He was doing stuff on his phone. No, his phone sat dormant while he was at the bridge with a burner. My 2 cents on that. I mean,
he was definitely at the bridge with a burner. They did a subpoena to a Dollar General store in that area.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah, and he had a burner phone that he got at the Dollar General days before all of this happened, or weeks before all this happened. Not everybody has seen the subpoenas. The subpoenas are very important. The whole reason for local law enforcement going to Europe was for that UBO, whatever it is, app, so that they could bring that device and get the information off of that device, either the GPS location or the chat information. Because I think out of country, subpoenas work a little bit differently. It's hard to subpoena somebody outside of a country. And also, a lot's been happening too with people out of state, with David Erskine and Mark Cohen and stuff like that. And people need to understand that a gag order is a gag order. I don't care where you live in the United States. Otherwise, people that lived in Indiana could just go across the border into Kentucky and talk to the news about the case and not violate the gag order. So there is such thing as a nationwide gag order. So information that's, obtained from people like that, they get in trouble. I mean, a gag order is no joke. That's no joke at all. But now this new paperwork that they put in, the new defense team put in, saying that Odinist is still messing with them and stuff like that, that's information that they got from one of their investigators. This is another case with that kid Max, That young kid for the other defense team went there and came back, and using words like Hannibal Lecter and stuff like that. That's
Spelled wrong.
That is as inappropriate as some of the stuff they had in the other one, in the
Prisoner
Frank's
of war
motion.
camp. Why don't you go ask a prisoner of war what it's like in a prisoner of war camp? Not
exactly.
Now, that to me, that's disgraceful and distasteful. There's other ways to use. Don't compare this guy to a prisoner of war because he ain't.
They did that on purpose, you guys, to incite an emotional response from the public. And I firmly believe that that's why the Frank's motion was written the way it was as well. They are trying to try this case in the court of public opinion. And that to me is absolutely unacceptable for defense attorneys, especially when there is a gag order.
Yeah. Well, maybe that says that that's their only option. You know, one side's trying to put stuff out and the other side's kind of laying in the cut and waiting. To me, and it doesn't mean this every time, but to me, that the person that's laying in the cut waiting, like, I got everything. You say whatever you want. When we get this to trial, you're going to see. And then, you know, but disseminating this and quoting the people that they quoted as sources of information, immediately when I read the Frank's memo, and I read it all like 5 times, I immediately was like, you're using this. I'm discrediting you personally because these are your sources. Like, this is kind of crazy. To me, it seems like they're grasping for straws. And if they had something to say, well, his phone was here, we didn't have his phone with him. He has no alibi. 156 pages, and you don't give an alibi. He wrote a letter throwing his mercy on the court, never once saying he was innocent. Innocent people stand on the rooftops and scream, I did not unalive these 2 children. He's never done any of that. My personal opinion, and I have no proof on this, my personal opinion, he's sitting back and he's masterminding all this, and he loves every second of it. My personal opinion.
Let me interject here just real quick for a little housekeeping. For the new people coming in, this is Frankmeisters Live. The 3 of us have agreed to come together, and I'm so glad I did. I love these 2 to death. To help keep this thing going while he's actually in the courtroom. He's going to either step out and talk to us, come back on, or he's going to text us and keep us updated with what's going on. And also the mods, if you guys would please support Frank, if the mods would put his Cash App in. I'm not a mod, so I can't do it. I can't post that. But any support that you can give Frank, him and Rescue All the Dogs took the time to drive out there and rescue all the dogs as a sweetheart. She picked him up and brought him there. She's always been top notch with me too. She's a great person.
She's amazing. I got to meet her at the walk in October, and she's amazing.
Oh, she is. She's a keeper.
She is.
Yeah.
She is.
Yeah, she's a keeper.
But like I said, everybody that I see that's hanging out here with us, is so.
Jumping Jack, 11 o'clock. And has anyone heard anything about the Westerman? Anybody in chat? I couldn't catch anything this morning on it. I was trying to watch, but anybody in chat, have they heard anything about Mitch's here? I think it was at 9 o'clock.
Waiting, but I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything either. I saw that they sealed. What did they seal to the discovery in that? That's sealed now? The Westerman case? They sealed something in that?
Yeah, I heard that they did.
Yeah, I don't understand that either, but like you start digging into it, but it's out of
Thank you, V. Marie.
Jury trial.
Westerman is out of court and set for jury trial.
Okay. Well, there you have it.
That whole collusion thing too. I mean, I don't want to get too deep into it, but apparently I'm the major leaker.
Oh. Tech savvy as you are.
Yeah. So
there are a lot of things. I don't know about a leaker.
Yeah. Yeah, if I'm a leaker, I'll be wearing Depends. I'm almost at that age. But recent events have really tried to skew all of that information. But of course, this is all this is a true crime genre. But there are some subcultures involved with this YouTube platform. that go other ways. They'd rather pay attention to the drama and stuff like that. But the Westerman thing, the collusion thing, is, I mean, it's almost laughable what they charged him with. I think they just wanted to charge him with something. Otherwise, it wouldn't give any kind of substance to booting Baldwin and Rosie off of the case. Do you know what I
Well,
mean?
I think too, it's, they got to go by the law, and it's just a misdemeanor. I mean, it's not, I think it should be, I think that what he did should actually be stronger of a crime than what they charged him with, but they can't.
Hmm.
Why would he take that to trial, Ruckus? Why do you think that you would take a charge that's in a grand scheme of things, it's a big charge, but legally it's not. Are you surprised he took that to trial, or is there anything else in play with that, forcing this further out while this other stuff gets handled? Or is there a something to do with both of them, as opposed to him just getting adjudicated, taking a plea, paying a fine? Do you think there's anything at work here, Ruckus?
Well, you have to think of this. What would he gain? Right now, here's a guy who is not unfamiliar with the legal system. Okay, he knows his stuff. He may not be bar certified and all that, but he knows his stuff, and he works with attorneys. And I'm sure that at least one attorney has advised him that, yeah, you should take this to trial and get all of this out in the open to clear your name. If he just took a plea and said, okay, yeah, whatever, yes, I did that. Even if he did do it, he's got better chance of taking it to trial. Now, did they give a trial date? Do you know of?
Someone in the chat said it went to trial, but my opinion is he takes the plea. He's backing up Baldwin, his buddy, and saying, no, I did all this, but he's going to court. Could there be a fracture between him and Baldwin now?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't
too much into that. Maybe
I don't know.
I mean, there may be. I'm sure that their friendship was affected somehow, depending on which way this went. Did Baldwin participate in this, or did he genuinely not know that it was happening? We don't know that yet either. But Rescue just messaged me. Bob Mata is there as well.
Mata.
So,
guys know I don't agree with him on everything, but I think that guy's a star. His energy. I love to listen to him talk. I love the back and forth with him and his wife. I disagree with him on Delphi, but I watch all the time.
I text with him, and he didn't know really who I was. Thank you, 63 Clocks, for the $20.
Thank you so much.
Chat.
They definitely appreciate that, and they're traveling for us.
But I went on. I'm like Beetlejuice. Okay, another channel said my name 3 times, so I went on the panel, and Bob was on the panel, so we got to talk. And me and Bob had been already texting, private texting back and forth, but he knew me as Ruckus. Well, the host of that channel had been putting my name out, so he called me by my name. So Bob was confused; he didn't know who I was.
Oh,
So that was kind of funny. And I really don't mind. I've told a lot of people what my name is, where I live. The whole doxing thing to me doesn't affect me. I worked as a deputy in the same county I lived in. I bumped into these assholes at Walmart, at the gas station, everywhere, at the mall. Those are the people that I worry about, not keyboard warriors.
Interesting. I'd love to talk to Mata about the whole John Wayne Gacy thing, because I watched.
Yeah, dude, I asked him about that. Yeah, we were talking about that, about these attorneys and what they're doing, and is it ethical and stuff like that. And I was like, well, people don't really understand that the system needs defense attorneys. That's what keeps everything fair. We all have that right. So the fact that his dad represented Gacy, even though he knew Gacy was guilty, does that mean he has a bad moral compass? No, he's doing his part, his job. And he did the best job that he could. And that's why they have that position. They have defense attorneys, and they will assign you one if
And
you
that's
can't
why
afford
I
one.
feel that Richard Allen deserves the best possible defense he can get in this matter. I have always said that, and I kind of agree with Gull. I don't think they were acting like they should have been. You can't go against what the court says you should be doing, and they know that. They keep touting how long they've been in collective practice together, and it's like you know better. And I think that's what surprised her as well, is that it wasn't just one infraction, it was all of these things collectively, and it was as if they weren't thinking about their client. It's like they were thinking about themselves.
Hmm. Absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see channels like Defense Diaries and the Prosecutors Podcast after
Mhm.
this, so
Yeah.
you can get both sides, because they know their stuff. They know what they're hearing and what they're listening to. That's the worst thing for me when I'm reading these motions and stuff that they put on. I can't even pronounce half of the words. Never mind know what they mean. And I know I sound like an idiot. I'll pronounce them like 6 different ways and say, all right, one of those is correct. And then I have to Google it real quick to see what it even means. Why they can't use just regular English has always been beyond me.
You need to let firemen write laws because we're simple. If you kill someone, you die. That's the law. That's it. The fireman wrote it, and it's pretty understandable. There's no whereases and all these commas and all. No, it's just this is what it wants to be. But maybe the law is not supposed to be black and white. A wise man told me a long time ago. Maybe it's purposely gray.
Mm.
Right?
Well, I've seen some people in chat talking about the prison system in Indiana and stuff like that. It's like that in every state. My first job, I worked at Union Correctional Institute in Stark, Florida. It was right next door to FSP. Now, FSB had Old Sparky. It had the electric chair in it, but they built a brand new state of the art death row at Union next door, and that's where I worked. They hired me for that. They hired a bunch of us. But that was back then, back in the early 90s, that was the worst prison in the state of Florida. I've seen several dead bodies there, inmates killing each other and stuff like that. So it happens.
Oh yeah.
But I'm here to tell you that I don't care what you call them, screws, turnkeys, correctional officers. They used to call us shit eaters because we wore brown uniforms.
Hacks. I heard
Yeah,
hacks.
yeah, all of that. We are a minor inconvenience to the convicts. Minor inconvenience. If you're working in a housing unit, you've
Thanks,
got.
Charlotte, for the $4.99 super chat. Thank you.
Oh yes, thank you very much. I didn't catch that. That went right by me because I was talking. But the guards, the people who are paid to provide care, custody, and control. That's what they're there for. There'll be one guard working in a housing unit with 100 or 150 convicts. It wouldn't be hard for them to just take it over. The guards are a minor inconvenience. They're worried about each other. They don't have shanks and weapons and stuff like that stashed around the housing unit for the guards. They have it to protect themselves against other convicts. That's the issue. So, yes, there will be deaths in prisons. When you take a lot of bad people and you lock them up and
Exactly.
fence them into the same area, you're going to have problems.
Yep.
It's just going to happen. I mean, you look at Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. You take a bunch of rich bitches and you put them together, they're going to have an issue once in a while. Well, it's the same thing with convicts. And the officers, they know when it got quiet. When I went on duty and I was walking across the compound, it was quiet. We knew something was up. It's eerily quiet when shit's going to hit the fan, and it gets crazy. But I don't care if you're in Indiana, Florida, Michigan, Illinois. I don't care. There's certain prisons that just have bad reputations, And it's not because of the structure. It's not because of the leadership there. It's because of the caliber of convicts that are housed there.
I
They're
get
just assholes.
I get why people are up in arms with Richard Allen being held at a prison. That's kind of unprecedented. Most of the time, you're held in a jail before conviction. So I get it. But at the same time, when you look at Carroll County, and if you've been there, which I have, and you see that tiny little jail, you understand that they didn't have the resources to house such a prisoner and guarantee his safety.
Well, a lot of people are asking, and I agree. Brian Kohlberger's doing just fine in a county jail.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I don't know why they decided to do that. And I'm not making this next statement to say, oh, I told you so. But I said way back when people said move him, I was like, great, move him. You don't like the way he's been treated, take him home, give him a milk bath, rub his feet. I don't care. Get him there to court on time.
Yep.
But if they do move him, and I was hoping they did, listen, just move him so we can get past this. But no matter where they put him, he's going into the same situation that he is now. He's going into a 6x8 cement cell with a stainless steel toilet and sink and a bed, and he's going to be on lockdown because he's a high-risk inmate. Well, look what happened. If he gets put in the county jail, they're going to have to inconvenience, and I hate to even use that word, they're going to have to inconvenience other pretrial detainees because they will have to move them out of that wing. He's got to be isolated until his trial. Otherwise, there could be problems with information getting passed around and stuff like that.
Yep.
Like, people coming out of jail talking about what they spoke to him about and stuff like that. So they would have to move a bunch of people out of, even though it's a tiny jail, so a bunch of people, maybe 4. But where do you put them now? Do you move them to another county, inconvenience their attorneys, to have to travel? I mean, there's really no good way to go about this. But I don't know why they decided to put him into a prison facility, but they did. And it's none of our business where they house him. We just need to make sure he's safe. And I am definitely not on the side of, well, they just want him to die before the trial. That's their main goal, is to make sure that he doesn't make it to trial.
No, I don't believe that.
Yeah, I don't believe that at all. Can you imagine what a mess that would be?
Yeah.
But we're getting close here.
It's kind of what I said on my channel before about Judge Gall. Everybody wants to throw the judge in this case under the bus. And I'm like, can you imagine what our judicial system would be like if every single time the defense attorneys was trying to get the judge thrown off the case?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, seriously, people, this isn't an easy thing to do, and there's a reason why. It's the same as if you go to a basketball game and you're ticked off at the refs.
Yes, exactly.
I'm sorry. That's what she's there for.
That's happened to me before.
Yeah, you coach basketball.
That's happened a couple times.
I mean,
you don't get to appeal. They look at you and go like this: technical, sit down, and that's your answer.
Yeah, the receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, George
Pickens.
Yeah, he was saying, well, it's kind of hard to play against the other team and the refs at the same time.
Bad example. Buffalo kicked our butts. That's a bad example. Don't say.
Yeah, I shouldn't have mentioned that, dude. I'm a Patriots fan, so I can't say anything.
I mean, Pickens. Don't blame the referees that game. Buffalo kicked our ass.
Buffalo's a good team.
They're not going to review that and say, well, we're going to award you the victory because you were held. Or something like that.
And by the way, I really didn't get a chance to look yet. Who won our fantasy football league this year? I didn't get a chance to look at it.
After the debacle of it and the founder, I quit looking at it.
Okay.
It went down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I beat him. I beat him for the championship. By the way,
I still ain't mad at him. I feel like betrayed by him and hurt more than being mad. Same with another creator that I was close with. I'm not mad at them. I feel hurt and betrayed, but. That's something separate than this.
Well, that's what I was talking about before, the subculture.
Yeah.
Everyone,
there's a big difference. This here, I know that I can talk with you two and not have to worry about any of that bullshit. And other people, and Frank, I can talk with Frank without having to worry about that. But there's definitely a subculture, and I try to avoid it, but sometimes you just can't. That's this platform, But the true crime aspect of it, if you just weed through all of that, I mean, there's some fantastic information out there and opinions. I watched both of you guys last shows, and it's like to me, it's riveting. you know, when you get people giving their honest opinion and speculating on what should happen, and you guys put a lot of thought and time and effort into what you do when you do your shows, and it shows. You don't just go live and willy nilly, talk about things. So I'm impressed with both of you guys, and I love working with you guys because of that.
well, we love you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I don't know what our Delphi community would be without the two of you, because we have really two guys here with integrity. And I say that not easily, because there's a lot of not that in this community.
Yeah, like I said, it's a subculture.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that, Kristen. And I don't know if I can't imagine you'd have problems with anyone on YouTube, but I would think there's a guy I work with real fast, 10-second story, guy named Jeff List. We call him the McKee Sport Jesus. He's like the best dude ever. And we always say, if anyone has a problem with Jeff List, it's their fault, because they've got to be a jagoff. And I feel that way about Kristen. Like, if anyone has a problem with Kristen or people like, Mr. Steve, like, you have to be at fault. You know what I mean? Like, how could you have a problem with that? But that's just my opinion.
Now, wait a minute. I've had a couple problems with Mr. Steve.
Well, other than his driving.
Our national treasure, Mr. Steve. I'll tell you what, he is so fun. I mean, he doesn't fly. He's like John Madden. He won't fly. So now that he lives, he's like an hour or so away from me now. He moved to Florida.
Oh, cool.
And so, and it would be easy for me to say, okay, yeah, I'll go with you, because if he asks my help, I tell him, he'll call me and say, hey, what's your schedule looking like for next week? And I'll be like, nothing. I'm retired, dude. I mean, what are we doing? I'm in, But I could, like, if we're going to Iowa, I could just fly there and he could pick me up at the airport while he drives across country. But I do not want to miss the opportunity to talk with him for that whole trip. We have so much fun. We laugh. You guys have no idea his sense of humor. It's very dry, but he is funny as hell, and he plays the straight man very well. And when we meet these victims' families and stuff like that, and talk with anybody involved with cases, once we get to where we're going, we work well together. It's like Laurel and Hardy. We just he's the straight guy. He sets me up for good one-liners all the time, and I know he's doing it on purpose. But he's very intelligent. He's articulate. He doesn't talk too much, which is another reason why we get along so well, because I'm like, the whole trip, But I'm trying to pick his mind. That guy has done every position in law enforcement that you can possibly do, except for coroner. He hasn't done that one yet.
When I had my heart issue in 2022 and was in intensive care, came home and he reached out to me and said, look, you have an amazing channel and I want to make sure that it's covered while you're recovering. He goes, can I help you in any way? I knew then that I had an outstanding friend and guy who was heads above the rest of us for the most part out there. Because who does that? I mean, I didn't know him that well at that point.
Yeah, Steve does.
Yeah, Steve, you who he is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And meeting his wife was fantastic. She is so nice. We had to leave. I ended up just staying at his house rather than going to a hotel. And, so we got to his house late, and his house and his property is beautiful. We're on his front porch, and he built this house himself. And, a couple hundred yards away, there's another home that he built that's absolutely gorgeous that his in-laws live in. Plus, he has his shooting range out back and his man cave, that he built. He had beautiful property in Georgia. And there's literally 5 or 6 deer 50 yards away from us in his front yard. And there's rabbits running around and all that. Meanwhile, I have coyotes, turtles, snakes, shit like that. Well, now he's got to deal with that, all that deer stuff and all that. So now he's going to have gators. Like I got snakes, all that. But his wife, came out and met me and welcomed me and was very nice. And, we brought, our stuff into the house, unpacked his rental van because we had to return that in the morning. And she's like, well, what time are you all leaving? And Steve says, probably around 3:30, 4 o'clock. And she turned around and looked at me. She goes, well, it was very nice meeting you. And I was, don't expect me to be up.
I ain't gonna be up. Don't wake me up.
I'm not making you breakfast.
Yeah. But she is a sweetheart in person. She really is. She's fantastic, and she's very funny. Great sense of humor as well.
Yeah. For all the bad that goes on in the YouTube true crime community and stuff, and there is, I've got to meet a lot of good people, and I've said that before. I kind of like found my tribe, and you reached out to me, Ruckus, and I've followed Kristen and followed Steve and Frank. I always like Frank because Frank's just Frank. Frank's not going to spin anything. He's going to just tell you how it is. And I grew up with people like that, and I appreciate people like that. And people that don't have channels that are on Discord and behind the scenes, people like Jinx. I see people in this chat, Rescue All the Dogs, CJK, they're such good people. And when you get to know them off YouTube and in Discord, they talk about their lives. And, one of our friends, Mommy Wolverine, had something she was going through, and everybody just, bonded around her. And I think that was great. And I think that you look at the good side of it, half full type of thing, and leave all the other stuff where it is. Because some of these other channels, they're not true crime channels. They're Jerry Springer channels. They don't talk about true crime. They talk about their beefs with other people. And that's fine. That's fine. People might be into that. But at the end of the day, I like to stay over here and keep it about the cases, work the cases.
Justice for Abby and Libby. No matter what, this case is about Abby and Libby. It's not about us. It's
Absolutely.
not about our channel. It's
absolutely
about them.
And when you actually get to meet some of these people, like Drew Collins and Larry Crum, and there's another case. And I know people think I'm a pain in the ass because I mention things, but I can't really talk about it. Steve and I we bounce things off each other all the time. And Steve is always working on 3, 4, 5 cases at a time. And when I say working on them, he's not Googling shit. He's working these cases. That guy's
through the forest in a bunny suit.
Yeah. And he's never retired. I mean, he's never going to retire, but he's very good at what he does.
Turned in the living room.
Yeah. But I've gone with him, to drop off things to be DNA tested, and we haven't talked about any of that stuff. And I never would. To me, even before I had Drew Collins come on my channel or Larry or anything like that, I check with Steve to say, okay, what's okay to talk about and what's not, because he introduced me to these folks. And even though we talk a lot, Steve and I talk about cases and what's going on, he doesn't tell me everything he's doing. So I want to make sure I'm not screwing anything up or bringing bad light onto anything. To me, it's just a courtesy, But he's working on some cases right now that are solvable. And the only reason they're solvable is because Mr. Steve is on the case. These are cases that have long been cold. And for whatever reason, I know people like to throw the word corruption around, law enforcement corruption, but they're just like any other field. People make mistakes. They're busy. They have a heavy workload. stuff like that. So they miss things. I'll tell you what, Mr. Steve does not miss anything. He turns over every stone. He does his own testing,
Right.
and
Yeah.
he's amazing. And because of his foundation now, he can take things. It's not cheap to have something tested for DNA and stuff like that.
Nope.
But he's able to do it because of these great people that helped him set up this foundation. And everybody that donates to that foundation, I don't care if it's $2, you're really helping these victims' family. Larry Crum had nobody for 40 years. Nobody was helping him until Mr. Steve came into the picture. And Larry's a man's man. You know, I'm here to tell you, Larry is a very tough guy. And for him to get emotional takes a lot. But he loves Steve to death because Steve reached out to him and he's done so much for him to help him. And now we've got this chance to get this case reopened. And it looks like it's going to be reopened. And that's amazing.
That is
His little girl's not coming back. We all know that. But hopefully we can bring her home and he can give her a proper burial. That's the main thing. I just got a text from Rescue All the Dogs. Doug Carter is there.
Ooh.
Yeah, and you see, I'm using proper English. I didn't say Carter.
Carter. Talking real quick about talking to people, and I've people from my channel, and I talked to you about this briefly, Ruckus. The Kimmy Krim case, 1998 McKeesport unsolved murder. I knew her sister. It's my hometown. I talked to her mom about 10 days ago, Jeannie. Talked to her about an hour on the phone. She's has some health issues, but she's fighting through it. And I knew the family before, but once you talk to them about their child that's gone, it's different. It's different. This isn't like Flora, which Flora, got all over me. This isn't Delphi. I'm invested in those cases. Absolutely. I'll always be invested to Florida. Either Florida will be solved or I'll die. One of those two things will happen, but I'll never quit looking. But you talk to this person and they tell you what they think, and it's different. And I'm sure you feel the same way when you meet the people. It's not YouTube anymore. It's not true crime anymore. This is like these people are letting you in their lives. You don't want to give them false hope. You're like, listen, the odds of this or that, but a lot of people know me in town. Maybe someone's going to talk to me, and people have reached out. But I'm sure you could say the same thing, Ruckus. It becomes different, Yeah, it becomes different.
She just texted me again. Holman and Vito are there as well.
Oh,
cool.
Yeah, but the good thing about being prior law enforcement and stuff like that is Steve and I have both talked to victims' families. We know how to. You don't have to sugarcoat it.
yeah.
You don't have to treat them with kid gloves and all that. But there's certain things that you don't want to say. You don't want to get their hopes up. That's the main thing. But you can talk to them and get a lot of information from them about, because they care more than anybody. It's their family member.
Real quick, Ruckus, do you think any of these police are going to test? There's not going to be no testimony or anything, right? Today, it's just arguments.
Yeah, there'll be arguments. She said McClellan's there as well.
So there would be no way that anyone could talk. It's just they get in front of the Supreme Court. I just want to clarify that. They did get in front of the Supreme Court, make the argument. It's not like Vito or something's going to come up and they're going to say, hey, blah, blah, blah. It's just the attorney and the Supreme Court, right?
From my experience, it's not the Supreme Court of the United States, obviously, it's Indiana. But from what I've seen, they get all the evidence sent to them. They review it, they discuss it, and they render a decision. If they need more information, this is going to be a very quick hearing. They may say, well, we need to talk with this person, but I'm sure they've already done that.
Oh, okay. So they wouldn't do it here. I got you. Kristen's shaking her head too. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, these are going to be arguments. They each get 30 minutes. Each of these two sides get 30 minutes to talk and give their brief, whatever you want to say, that they've put together to argue why this should happen and why this shouldn't happen. Gotcha. The Supreme Court has the ability to ask questions today. They can ask questions if they choose to, but they're not going to ask questions of the law enforcement officers or any witnesses or anything like that. That would all be done behind the scenes.
Gotcha.
Mm.
Thanks for
And
explaining.
this is, I'm sure that, because this is right up Frank's alley.
Oh
This
yeah.
is Frank loves the documents. He loves going over the documents. He has developed relationships with people on the inside, which is smart. That's the way to do it. He just doesn't go to my case. He gets phone calls and emails before it even hits my case because he's developed relationships with these folks. So he's in his element right now. I can't wait for him to either text us or come in here and tell us what's going on.
And Frank's hardworking, and he doesn't like spin shit. He just puts out what the document says, and I think people on the inside kind of respect that. Like, well, this guy knows this, but he's not going to go out and make it look like one thing or another. He's going to put out the facts and let everyone else decide. What do you think? And that's why I love Frank. One of the reasons.
Yeah, I try and keep my opinions to a minimum with Frank. Frank wants the facts and the facts only, and I can appreciate that. So I try and that's why he was like, yeah, especially you, Ruckus. Because I will give my opinion on things, and if it gets off subject, I'll give my opinion on that as well. And sometimes that can go south quick.
Yeah. Hey, give me 2 minutes, guys. I'll be right back.
Okay.
He just wants everyone to, and he knows how you are, and he appreciates you and loves you. The respect of the families and constantly keeping them in our thoughts when we are covering this case and bringing out the information. And that's what he wants. And that's one of the reasons why he and I get along so well, is because I feel the same way.
Yeah. Well, it's important. Now we all know, Kristen, if this went to trial tomorrow, and whether he's found guilty or found innocent or hung jury or whatever, the line in the sand has been dug out so deep that whoever is on the side that was not, didn't get the decision they wanted, this is going to continue. It's going to continue forever. I remember people saying that Ted Bundy was innocent, and they were very adamant about it, right up until the day before he got executed, and he said, "Yes, I did all of it."
Right.
And they still now they say, "Well, no, that was coerced. He did that for his family's benefit and stuff like that." So it's hard to say unless we actually go and see what happens with our own two eyes and hear what happens. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. But still, we live in the greatest country because we have this judicial system. And is it perfect? No.
Nope.
No. But
does it need some fixing? Yes. But
yeah.
it's
But
still the best system in the world.
People need to realize, though, that while transparency is important, it is very important, we do not have the right to demand information during an open investigation. Oh, there's Frank. He's with us.
We saw him for a second.
That was a hit and run.
In 4 minutes. So
that was a hit and run. But I've been seeing some comments in the chat. I've just been kind of scrolling through here because I'm on the StreamYard. I'm not on the YouTube.
There he
is.
But
yes, I think, as a matter of fact, I'm positive there's going to be more arrests in this case.
I hope that everyone involved with this situation pays dearly. That's my hope. I want everyone that had anything to do with this, whether it be in the actual crime or knowing of the crime after the fact or the planning of it before the fact, whatever it is, I want everybody to pay.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
100%. Even if I'm wrong, I'm like, I'm way wrong. It wasn't Alan. It wasn't anything that I thought. I don't care. I don't need to be right. The people that did this, and at some point, maybe not an allocution, but like an admission of like, this is what happened. This is how it happened. So maybe even if it's not publicly, the family knows exactly, if they want to know, this is exactly what happened. They told us. So you know, and maybe that puts your mind at ease. I don't know if it would or not, or if I would want to know if those are my kids. I think I would. I need to know what happened, maybe, but I hope I'm never in that position. But I can't imagine the position the family's in, especially this case, what they go through, the accusations. And I think that's the worst thing about true crime on YouTube. You know, there's people that do unalive their children, but in this case, it's clearly not that or anyone involved, in my opinion.
Okay.
I feel for them.
Frank just texted me. Vito's sitting right next to him. He's unable to go live in the courtroom, obviously, but he said keep an eye on the text. So I'll keep the text box open and keep
Cool.
everybody filled in. So they're getting ready to start now. But not everybody knows this. You know, I'm retired law enforcement. My son is current law enforcement, and you know, he's been a detective, and you know, he just recently got promoted and all that stuff. Now, this is my own son. I will ask him about a case he's working on, and he tells me to go pound sand. He ain't saying shit.
I asked
So
my
I'm like,
brother, he's an attorney general agent. He's like, I can't tell you that shit. He's like, come on.
yeah,
Don't even ask me. I'm like, dude, who am I going to tell? You're my little brother. He's like, no,
yeah.
ask me
But I'm
something.
like, dude, listen, I brought you in this world. I'll take you out, make another one looks just like you. You know, I need to know what's going on. But he's like, Dad, you know better.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you. Now, he's worked some very big cases. And I couldn't do his job. He sent us a picture one time of a bag, a see-through trash bag full of money in the back of his SUV from a case that they had worked.
Wow.
And I was like, see, son, that's why I went into booking. I could never be a detective or anything like that. I can't remember the number that he told me was in that bag, but it was over $100,000. And I said, see, if that was me, I would have turned in all $10,000 of that money. I know myself, you know, so I couldn't do that job. I wouldn't do it.
Hey, Tech Dev. Good to see you. Jamie, all of you guys that are hanging in here. Cecil Hotel just said they checked in to another live mini Allen lovers there. And so, yeah.
It appears the family is there as well.
Yeah, I talked to Becky earlier this week, and she said they would be there.
Oh, good. Good.
So I knew they were going to be there. And, you know, for having Vito and Carter and Coleman and everybody there, these guys care about this case. I'm sorry. The people that think law enforcement doesn't care about what happens in this case with Abby and Libby, I don't buy it. They care.
I could tell you that from my family, and I could tell you that from experience as being a fireman firsthand, that the cops are definitely affected by cases. Now that they get hardened, like especially in my town, the police in my town last year, Ruckus, ran, I think, 33,000 calls, and the population is about 25,000. So it's, you know, it's rough, and they get hardened with certain things. But let me tell you something, anything involving children, anything, even the cops that don't have kids, and they know someone's hurting a kid, that person's getting thumped, period. You know what I mean? And the cases with kids, they never give them up. The retired cops that I'm talking to about Kimmy Krim still care, and they want to help me because it still bothers them. They still have them images burned in their heads. So it is. They are affected by it. And I agree with you, Kristen. I think that's why they're there.
I agree. You know, they're not there just for the optics.
And they can't be called as witnesses. So I agree with you.
They've invested 7 years of their lives to this case. And if you think we're invested, I mean, I've been following the case since day one. I can't even imagine what these guys have seen and taken home.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
and
it never leaves you.
No.
Sure.
It never leaves you.
No.
My brother also told me that. Brother also told me, if you think it's corruption or incompetence with the police, 99% of the time it's incompetence. 1% of the time it's corruption. So take it from an attorney general agent. That's his opinion.
Everybody's been so critical of Carroll County and how they handled this investigation. And all I can say is nobody's perfect. And they had never seen anything like this ever.
Oh, yeah,
And
no.
so, it's like what I just find it really ridiculous that people want to throw them under the bus all the time. Yes, they made mistakes, but this is a very small company, very small, and they just don't see these kinds of crimes. So yeah, they're going to make mistakes. Did they call in the FBI and ask for help? Yes. Did they call in the GBI and ask for help on their case? Please look this case over. Yes. I think we are going to find out they know a lot more than we know. And there was a lot more found out than we know. And I think all of those twists and turns that people have talked about with the fines and everybody else, that's going to all be explained.
Mm.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
just
I hope
me.
so.
Mm. Yeah, Boston Christian. I tell people, and people know that my son is in law enforcement. He actually works in the same county that I retired from. But and it's funny too. He's like, Dad, he's been there like 12, 13 years. When he first started there, he's like, I could tell which guys liked you and which didn't right away by the way they introduced themselves to me. But he's a supervisor, Boston. So I don't like to put that out. Now he was a detective. He worked for the DEA task force. He was undercover for a while. So, I have to be very careful what I say. All right, Frank just texted me. He said RA's attorneys are speaking their arguments, saying Gull has no authority to remove attorneys. Now, is this streaming live anywhere? Is Court TV
Yes.
streaming?
No,
Yeah.
it's on the Supreme Court's website.
Oh, okay.
It's the only
Okay.
place that you can see it.
Okay.
Nobody better be streaming it live. They'll get in trouble.
Yeah, you're not allowed to do that.
I'd rather do it like this. I like having opinion of somebody sitting there listening to it. And, the fact that he's sitting next to Vito, I'm sure that they'll have some kind of a conversation.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're arguing the Sixth Amendment
Okay.
rights right now.
And see, the thing that people don't realize about this too is he was appointed attorneys, not gone out and purchased his own attorneys. And I say purchase because that's what you're doing. You're buying an attorney, you're paying for him to represent you. He couldn't do that. He is afforded counsel by the state. They're paying for this. She's the one who appointed them. So it's different.
My question has always been when this happened, of course, everybody went up in arms. The Chief Justice is questioning RA's attorneys right now. What I've always asked, because people went apeshit when this happened. And like I said, there was a line in the sand. Some people were like good, some people were like that's, and started fighting about Sixth Amendment rights. What if these were hired attorneys? If he had hired these attorneys and they're never appointed as public defenders, did she have the same right to do that to them as well? Could she have done that to them?
Yes, but I think that there would have been a better argument for the Sixth Amendment by her removing them.
Exactly.
Instead of sanctioning them or holding them in contempt, because it was easier to do what she did and just get different attorneys.
Yeah, Frank just said they're arguing speedy trial right now as well. Now, Indiana is a little different. In Florida, you can waive your right to a speedy trial if you want to put that off so you have a better chance of building your defense. In Indiana, you have to apply for a speedy trial.
Yeah.
It's
I
a
was
180.
listening in real quick, and what the attorney was saying for Allen was they had the paperwork done. They didn't see it. It was after the 70 days or after the initial filing. One of the judges said, even though it's after that initial date, you still want to do it. He said it was part of their strategy to file late for a speedy trial, is what this guy is saying, which I don't know if that's strategy or not, or that's
a shitty strategy.
That's pretty,
yeah.
pretty
I was just
poor,
like,
in my opinion.
Yeah.
those questions. I don't
Yeah,
know
that's
any of their names or anything, but it's a guy attorney talking. I don't know.
Somebody in chat, and it went by too fast, and I could go back, I guess, and see who it was that said it, but I thought it was a good point. It was Anna Lissette said, corruption is less likely for crimes like Delphi. Nobody protects offenders who attack children.
Well, I agree with you.
In small towns with dirty politics, it is unlikely such offenders would be protected.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
agree with
and not only that, inmates don't care for people who hurt children. So, yeah, I mean, it's just he's innocent until proven guilty. But I have seen enough. I know he's guilty, and there's others involved, and they have evidence that puts him there. Now, from what I understand, and like I said, I have seen enough. They offered him a plea deal, and part of the plea deal is he would have to say everything that happened, and he didn't want to do that.
What's that tell you about his personality, Ruckus? Breaking into the profiling area, that he doesn't want to stand up and talk like some others have wanted to do in the past. What do you think about that? He feels shameful. He feels regret from the act. You know what I mean? As opposed to someone like a BTK who can go over in detail every act that he did, and it doesn't seem to bother him at all. A Gary Ridgway who can go up there, and the only time he shows real emotion in court is when a father of one of his victims forgives him. And that was when he showed real emotion. But these guys, they almost want to do that. But Richard Allen didn't want to do that. To me, that tells me that there is some remorse and there is some shame there, in my opinion.
And it tells me he's not a serial killer either.
I agree with you too. And it's that screws me up. How does this happen just now?
Yeah, BTK stood up there and was very proud of everything he did. You know, I mean, that was weird the way he did it.
Yes.
But that tells me he's not a serial killer. That doesn't mean he's not a budding serial killer.
Yeah. And people will say that it can't happen late. It can. It usually doesn't. But there's precursory crimes. So maybe there was precursory crimes we didn't know about. Was he a peeping Tom? Listen, there's some relationship with his niece there that something's up. I don't know what it is. Something's up. There was inappropriate. I don't know what it was. No accusations made, but something was weird there. And she was around, a little bit younger than the girls. And then I think he's going to be tied into the CSAM. My personal opinion too. So maybe it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. Now you got to take this step to do this. And can you restrain yourself after that? You might be able to. You know, you might be able to go back to that spot and relive it, or with souvenirs relive it. But all speculation by me.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's what it all is.
I feel this case is definitely sexually motivated. I felt that way from day one.
Oh, I agree with you. And it doesn't have to be an assault, quote unquote, that takes place.
No.
It's if you read and if you're into it, and I put a couple of my books up here on this side, the John Douglas, the Mindhunter book. It explains it. That to me, that is all so interesting. How people get like this. It's so interesting. So interesting.
Power. Sometimes to them, just power. That's the sexual gratification. Having power over someone.
It usually goes back to their mothers.
So many things relationship that go into this.
Well, they've got the whole. If you go back to the beginning, right? His attorneys kept filing. First, they wanted to have a bond hearing. Do you remember that? Well, then they got some more discovery, and they were like, "Oh shit!" So they switched it from a bond hearing to a suppression hearing because he was never going to get a bond. But that was just a tactic by the defense because the prosecution has to put out a preponderance of the evidence, so they would know what they have and how they plan to proceed forward. Now, it's a two-edged sword. It's a dry run for both sides because the prosecution can say, yeah, we did a shitty job there. We need to change our tactics. And the defense also knows what they have. but they're the one that changed that. I don't want people to have the misconception that law enforcement, that the system kept Richard Allen locked up longer than 7 days and didn't give him a speedy trial that he deserved.
Nope.
His attorneys kept filing to move shit back.
Yes.
And so now they're saying, oh, we did that, and our strategy was to get to file it now. That's a crock of shit. And what did they expect? It was 6 years. Of course they're going to have a lot of evidence that they have to go through.
Exactly.
So, and as a public defender, you don't have the same advantage that the prosecution does because they've been working the case for 6 years. They're well versed on it. They know how they want to proceed with it. But you know, if you're ready to go, that's their thing now. They're like, you know, well, his Sixth Amendment was violated. We want to do a speedy trial. You were not saying any of that
in the beginning.
A year ago. Yeah, you weren't saying any of that a year ago.
No,
So people need to
that's
remember
it. They
that.
wanted the brakes put on.
Yeah, absolutely. They kept extending it and they kept putting it off and changing things. I wanted that bond hearing so bad. I wanted to see what what they had and what was going on.
I think people in the chat are talking about Richard Allen. I saw somebody talking about why would he have weapons on him just to go out and take a walk. I don't people understand what it's like in the state of Indiana. It's you know, they can open carry. I mean, they can carry there, and it's like it's not unusual, especially in rural Indiana, for someone to have a weapon on them.
It's common in Pennsylvania. You have to have a license to carry, but it isn't like you have to go prove aerodynamics to anybody. The test is pretty easy. You just go have your clean background, you're allowed to carry. And a lot of people carry weapons. I don't know about knives. I'm in an inner city, not a rural area, but a lot of people carry weapons. But in my opinion, I think he was going to do what he did. I think he was going there for a reason.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I just wanted people seem like, well, why would you be out walking on a walk with a gun?
Well, depending on where they live, that might be uncommon. Whatever. Yeah, it could be uncommon in certain areas, maybe with strict gun control laws. People don't do that out. You know, Pennsylvania is like you do whatever you want, kind of. You know, it's like Florida, but it's cold, and we have a couple more laws. But other than that, there's no difference.
All right, they're arguing now that Frank just texted me that Gull interfered with the case. Now, we all know, I mean, I don't even need to say this out loud, but judges are basically referees. You know, they're supposed to be impartial, just make sure that everybody's following the rules and, you know, that things go smoothly.
Yes.
But if, yeah, I wish I could be in Frank's place right now, because watching it on the live stream, I'm not even watching it. I want to get everything from Frank. I can watch it later. You know, but I want to get the opinions. And there's a gentleman in the chat, Joe, who is also watching it and kind of give Joe Newman. Thank you, Joe, by the way, giving a play-by-play as well. But the atmosphere there, you know, I tell people, I remember telling Sleuth this, that and you have to go to the crime scene. You have to walk in that area. You have to smell it. You have to see it. You have to feel it. You know, it's the same thing with these court hearings. I mean, there's definitely an atmosphere there that we can't pick up on watching it on a live stream. Yeah.
I mean, even following the case for as long as I have, you know, going to the trail in October was so eye-opening, and it gave me a whole different perspective on this case and what happened that day. And that feeling that you get out there is, I mean, it's such a beautiful and serene place. And yet it's very isolated. And, you know, I felt the isolation and the fact that, man, is there really people watching? Because there's houses so close that you can see right through the trees. So you think you're isolated, but are you really? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's another good thing, a good question people were saying about, why that area and stuff like that. I've been at that crime scene and I've been at the Evansdale crime scene.
Mm-hmm.
So they Drew Collins did not know about Seven Bridges, and he grew up there. He didn't know that area even existed. There's people in Delphi that have never been to Monon High Bridge. They don't
Mm-hmm.
know that area as well. That's how, and Steve and I have talked about this extensively, and we both agree that those two are not connected. There are some similarities, but those are local people that did it. They're both very solvable. I mean, Delphi's been solved. Evansdale's going to be next, but they're not connected at all. At all. Now, Frank and Sleuth are starting to work on another case, that Jordan. Um,
Sofer.
Sofer,
yeah,
Jordan Sofer. Mm-hmm.
yeah. That's they're saying that may be connected to this case. So that'll be interesting to see. Whoa. All
So
right.
this,
Frank just texted me saying they're pushing that Rozzy and Baldwin did nothing wrong.
oh wow. Everybody meet Finn. If you haven't met Finn, he's my buddy.
Yeah, that's. I mean, to say they did nothing wrong, I mean, it depends which side of the fence you're on. You know?
Exactly.
Well, doesn't at
And
that
see,
point,
that's what gets me. It's like, why is there two sides of the fence, guys? Because which one of you said this when we first started talking that you don't have a dog in the fight?
Me, yeah, I don't.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't either. Shouldn't there not be two sides of the fence? Should it just be justice?
Well, some people have an agenda.
So some people see justice in a different light than we do.
Hmm.
And that's the
Hmm.
way I look at it. And I think part of it goes to the culture in our country. There's
Yeah,
a culture
absolutely.
out there that believes that law enforcement's corrupt no matter what they do.
Yeah. Now it's funny too. I think people that are like that are very adamant and passionate. I wonder if they're like that in real person. Because I'm here to tell you, my wife could care less what I'm doing here. I talked to her about the Delphi case, and she has no clue. She doesn't want to. You know, but I have friends and former colleagues. Some of them that retired, some are still active that watch my channel, and I have family that watch the channel. But it makes me wonder, some of these people that are real adamant, does their spouse who's sitting right next to them know what they're typing and the way they're acting? You know what I mean? It makes me wonder,
Mhm.
do they do this stuff out loud, or is this just like their little, and instead of playing a little game on their phone, this is what they do for entertainment,
Oh,
you know?
I 100% believe that that's what people do for entertainment.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
think the
especially if
trolls
they're
that people
anonymous.
talk about that come to our channels occasionally,
Hmm.
that's what they do for fun.
Yeah, it cracks me up. It really does, and it's so funny. I told my wife this morning, "Hey, don't forget I'm doing a podcast at 10." Oh, for what? Wait, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? But and I mentioned this before too, if it was something about the Real Housewives of wherever,
Mhm.
Yeah.
she'd be like, "Ooh, what time is that on?"
What
She loves that stuff. But we had a discussion yesterday. We were talking about that Gypsy Rose
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild,
case.
huh?
Yeah, and we were talking about that, and I was trying to explain to her that, hey, listen, yes, the mother did abuse her, but she went along with it, and she was acting. Now, when did that stop? Where did that she change? When that boy came into her life. She was at that age, and with girls, you hear it a lot. How many cases are there where a younger girl is with an older boy and they kill the parents because the parents don't like them being together? There's lots of cases like that. And this case here, these were young girls who were trying to meet a boy. That's what they thought they were doing. And they were talking to these boys. Unfortunately, social media just is what it is now. But you get and particularly girls at that certain age, they're very impressionable, and these predators know that. and they prey on these poor girls over and over and over again. These catfishers are pigs.
They're everywhere, though. That's
Yeah.
the bad thing. They're not just one here or one there. They're everywhere. I had somebody the other night ask me, does that mean our kids are being preyed upon by multiple people at any given moment? And I think the answer to that is yes.
Yeah,
Sadly,
absolutely. Absolutely.
you got to know what your kids are doing, and you got to know what your kids are doing online. And that's not throwing shade on the families here.
No,
I
not
don't
at
want
all.
anyone to think that that's what's happening here. Abby and Libby were doing nothing wrong. Wanting to meet a boy is not wrong. That's what
No.
13, 14, and 15-year-old girls want to do.
Yep.
That's
what I'm saying. That's that age
Mhm.
with it, because girls mature faster than boys. It just is what it is. I'll never admit that to my wife. And if she ever hears this, honey, I made that statement, and I'm under duress. Frank just texted me. RA attorney claims that Rozzy and Baldwin did not have grounds for removal. Now, their argument, I think, is moot as far as they say they were ambushed. They had no idea what was going on, and yet they hired an attorney to represent them, and they wrote a letter for Richard Allen to sign saying that he wanted to retain them a week before this hearing happened. I wish that instead of being nice to them and give them a chance to bow out, that she just had that public hearing.
She should have had
I
the
do
hearing.
too.
Yeah.
I do
And
too,
if for the,
because they weren't ambushed. She told them, and they knew when they got called to Allen County what was going to happen. They knew what was going to happen that day. These attorneys are playing dumb, but they're not.
they released the emails between them, so they knew it was coming. And the other thing too is, if you were so steadfast for Allen, this isn't a knock on Rozzy, it's a knock on Baldwin. When they're back there, we could go out in court and do this, or Baldwin's like, well, how do I get to my car the back way? I'm paraphrasing what he said, but that's what he said. How do I get to my car the back way? That was like, how do I get out of here? Where's the trap door at? You know what I mean? Now, Rozzy at least stood there and gave a little back, but you know, I don't know.
He knew.
They did know. There was an email release. Yeah, they all knew. That's why he brought Hennessy. Now here's a question for you. Does the Hennessy filing that he put in saying, we promise we're going to lock this up in a fireproof safe now, doesn't that admit guilt to Baldwin?
Yeah.
Doesn't that filing admit, or did Hennessy lie?
Frank just texted me that the state is now up making their argument.
Oh, that's going to be interesting.
Matt Gutwein. I'm not saying it wrong. Guttwein. Matt Gutwein is who's up.
But this is going to set precedents for future cases.
Yes.
So it's very important that they get this right.
This
now,
has been argued before the Supreme Court before in Indiana that I'm aware of.
Right. And I am more interested, to be quite honest with you, I'm more interested in what's going to happen with the Franks hearing than I am with this one. I don't think the Supreme Court is going to remove the judge or say that she acted inappropriately or anything like that. But I really don't care. You know, if she reinstates these guys, great. Let's have a trial. The evidence is not going to change. No matter what happens today, the evidence that has been collected and presented is not going to change.
I wish Richard Allen could have 3 Johnny Cochrans representing him, because I feel the evidence is strong too. A lot that's not public, but get it the best attorneys he can get. You know, so at the end of the day, we could say, listen, man, you had Johnny Cochran times 3 and you still got found guilty. You know,
leave all 4 of them on it.
Joe Newman says, laughing out loud, detective in the 90s, lived here my whole life, never heard of any wannabe white boy Odin gang.
Oh, that'd be interesting, Joe. You should come on someone's channel one day and talk about your experiences in LE in that area. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Joe, were you LE in Indiana?
That's what it says.
Yeah, I'd be interested in any Indiana stuff. You know, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Or Joe, maybe it's time for you to launch a channel, my friend.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'd check you out.
Now,
Yeah,
I will say
if you
this
want to,
about
Joe, and you need some help, there's people that'll help you. I'll definitely help you get started.
I would say this about the Odin stuff. We heard that way back in 2017. This is not brand new information that everyone likes everyone to think it is. And
Hmm.
the top guy that they talk about in their Frank's motion, we all deep dove him. Trust me. It was everywhere, and everybody looked at him. But he was at work that day, and you just can't get through that. You can't get past that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And of course, the guy, the major, I forget what his name was. He has a real like weird last name. Who they named in there? He headed this little branch in the investigation. He made it clear. He made it said to the murder sheet, and it was released. Kind of funny. I agree. He says no one in law enforcement believes this was Odinism. So let's be clear about that. He didn't believe it. He thought the defense embellished that. However, those guys did believe that the 3 guys or 4 people mentioned in the Frank's memo could be involved, but no Odinism. So why would you use that guy and use the Odinism theory? Why wouldn't you just say that these other people did it?
Exactly.
Why would you inject the Odinism when the guy even says that the guy that you're quoting doesn't believe it? Here's something else. The behavioral analysis unit never said it was Odinism, as far as we know. If you look into Frank's memo, Major, I can't remember what his name was, the guy that headed it up, he said, his quote was, he heard the BAU thought there could have been an Odinist angle to it. The BAU was never contacted and nothing they ever said publicly. So for people to say that the BAU said that, that's incorrect. Now, it could come out in court that they thought that, but per that Frank's memo, they're going based what he said, not what they said. So again, you use that guy and he doesn't believe it's Odinism. I don't think the attorneys believe it's Odinism. I don't believe any of them.
Jamizi, I think, sorry, I apologize if I got that wrong, said there's a conflation of Odinist and Vinlander, because there is a Vinlander group as well.
Yeah. And just so we know, if you read the Frank's motion, Odinite is a rock. So
yes, exactly. There's no such thing as an Odinite.
It's a rock.
And for people who want to know about people who follow Odin, they are not into sacrificing teenage girls, just so you know.
GP, I hope your mom's doing well. She said she's at the hospital just checking in. They're talking to the state right now is what's happening, GP. Now there's another channel that is streaming this live. I don't know how.
Streaming the hearing.
Yes.
Oh, that would be bad.
Yeah. I think
they might get in trouble for that.
Well, they don't live in this country, so.
Oh well.
Wow. I wonder.
Narrows it down to a couple.
Is that the same? Is that the same person who's mentioned in the Frank's motion?
Yes, it is.
Of course it is. Oh my God.
YouTube will be popping today, though, guys. I know it's cold here. I don't have anything to do all day. There'll be stuff going on. I'm doing a little live at 3. Just kind of, I'm going to go back after we're done here, watch this, and just let people talk, give their opinions on what was said today, and trying to gather up some stuff on Westerman. But if you look all through the night, people got YouTubes. Hopefully Frank does one tonight too. I don't know if he will or not. He's not as far away. Frankmeister, maybe he'll do one tonight also. But I'm looking forward to the day anyway. There's a lot going on. So if you guys are off work today or listening in, follow your favorite YouTube personality about Delphi. There's a ton going on. So,
all right. So Joe Newman worked in Indianapolis. Blood, Crips, Aryan Nation, etc. No Odin White Boy. Now in Florida, Joe, we used to call them the Little Rascals. Because, when you got white, black, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, boys, girls, old people, young people, all in the same gang, and they're, that's the Little Rascals. That's not a gang. If a real gang member got dropped off, they'd all curl up in the fetal position and shit their pants. But if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, it's a duck.
Right,
So they're a
exactly.
pain in the ass more than anything.
No.
Yeah.
And I've never heard of Odinism personally. It's not big in Florida. It sounds like it's a Midwest thing. But what if Richard Allen wanted to join this group? Because they all live in the same area. What if he wanted to join that group and got rejected? Those sticks that were placed at the crime scene were not random. To me, they didn't look like anything religious or Odinist or anything like that. But what if? Why would he?
Cool. Sorry, Rock. Can we talk real quick? And to me, this is confirmed. But let me know what you think. Go back to Robert Ives and the whole non-secular comment.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's been confirmed that he actually never said non-secular. What do you guys think about that? Because I know that I took that as gospel for about a year until I went back and listened to different people talk. And the reporter that did that added non-secular to the written article. Are you guys aware of that, or what's your feelings on that?
No, I'm aware of that.
Yeah, I'm aware of that as well. Now, to me, okay, not making this a race thing, so please, non-secular usually means anti-Jewish. When you hear that non-secular,
okay,
yeah,
I never heard it. That I had to look it up myself because it's one
yeah.
of them
If you look up non-secular, you'll see that it's predominantly people that are referring to the Jewish religion that are against it. So the Nazis were definitely non-secular, but
do you think
I thought that was an interesting choice of words, instead of just saying there was a religious component, they used the word non-secular, which meant it was anti-religion, so
Indiana, and Coach Kev, you probably know this from all of your deep diving on Flora, but Indiana is known for white supremacy. It is a hotbed of it. They, the Ku Klux Klan was a hotbed there for a long time. And I'm not trying to make this a race kind of thing, but when you go there and you're in that rural community type thing, you still feel it. You still feel that racism kind of rights are where it's at, and the rest of them, we don't want them here. Attitude.
I think I felt that with Flora and with Galen, the way she was treated before and after. And when the rumor came out where the fireman, the one firefighter who I'm not going to say, but we know who said it now. We know who said it now. Said that she was carrying a gas can on video, which is absolute horseshit. The gas station was closed, yada, yada, yada. But everyone just took that as the gospel. Like, it wasn't like no one stood up for her. So maybe they're not Klan members, but a black mom burned black kids. Well, I can believe that just because the way I was raised in the area I'm around, there's not that many black people around. And Galen's dad was a guy who wouldn't take any guff from anybody. So he was labeled by them as a rabble rouser, which is an old racist term, in my opinion, of, any black person that wants to go against the norm. I want to drink out of that fountain. We would call them freedom fighters today. But in my opinion, I'm not saying the investigation itself, the investigation's fishy. I'm not saying that's a racist. I don't think the act was racist, but I think before and after, the way she was treated showed the racism of a small town. And it may just be because a lot of those people never have been around, black Americans before, just never understood. I was born in a mixed town, so it never was a thing to me. It was just like, that's just how it is. So I was learning to get along with everybody. And I wish everybody in life was around all kind of different people, cultures, religions, people to speak different languages at a younger age. And I think we would all be better for it as we grow up into our big tree,
Diversity is important. And I think when we look at our children, our little kids, they don't see race that way. We teach that to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's definitely learned.
It's a learned behavior, and it's going to take generations upon generations to break that cycle.
Jim
Now,
Clemente
I'm from
says,
Charlestown, which is predominantly not only white but Irish.
and they
And
rob
then,
armored cars.
yes, I can neither confirm nor deny that I know any of those folks. But I graduated high school though in a town called Lynn, Massachusetts, which is about 4 miles north. And I'm here to tell you, and I tell this story all the time, so I'm just going to tell it the way I tell it and be myself.
Oh God!
I in the high school that I had went to, there were 2 black people there, and they were adopted. Okay, and they were a couple years younger than I was. When I went to Lynn Classical High School, I got to school my first day. I thought it was an eclipse. I've never seen so many black people in my life. It was crazy. I didn't know how to talk to them. I didn't know how to deal with them. Now I learned to. This was halfway through 10th grade. And I'm the least racist person that you'll ever meet. I hate everybody equally, but so I understand the whole culture thing, it's crazy. So if you're not used to that, and if there's not many um, of either race, for white people going into a predominantly black area is the same as a black person going into a predominantly white area. There's just different cultures involved with that, and there's no way around it. So you either fit in, adjust, adapt, or you do not. You just turn into an asshole. And it happens everywhere. You look all over this country, the rioting, and
Mm-hmm.
I talked to LA. I don't know if you guys know who LA Wilkes is.
Mm-hmm.
But he was around during the Philly riots, and he lived through that. And that poor guy, he's been shot twice. And I always tease him. I was like, dude, you got to be the worst shot ever. You've been shot twice, and you ain't shot nobody yet. You
Did
should
they
let
try to
people
light?
shoot you.
Didn't they try to light his car on fire when he was in it during
Yes.
the riot? L.A.
Yes.
Something crazy, yeah.
Dude, we have if me, him, and Diesel. Diesel is the chief of police in a town in North Carolina. LA is semi-retired. He's out medically in Philadelphia. He works right in Philly, Kensington area, all that. And I'm retired from Florida. If civilians, people that don't have never worked law enforcement, could see our group texts and the shit that we talk about and laugh about and think is funny, you would think we are the 3 biggest assholes that's ever worked on the face of this earth. If you guys could hear some of the conversations that Steve and I have in the van driving across the country, you'd be like, what is wrong with you people? But you get that gallows humor.
I get where you're coming from. It's the same way with us. Like something terrible will happen, and we'll get back to the station, and someone will make like a joke, and you have to bring some kind of levity to that situation, or else it's just going to weigh you down and pull you down. And you don't make them jokes around other people, but like, hey, that guy was there on that car wreck with us when that lady, blah blah blah, or whatever the case. So you have those things, and it isn't a disrespectful thing. It just lets you carry on, man, or else that shit's just going to pull you down.
I grew up here in central Illinois in a small farming community, and we had sundown laws. So I don't know if you guys are aware of sundown towns or not, but sundown towns, you were a person of color, you better not be caught in town after sundown.
Wow.
We still have places in Florida like that.
There's places in Indiana like that. There's places in Illinois like that. And some of these rural places, you don't want to just venture in if you're an out of towner, especially if you're of color. And they actually had signs. I remember asking my father. There was a sign outside of Pekin, Illinois, that said, and they used the N-word, if an N person is found in our town after dark, you will be thrown into the Illinois River.
Yeah.
I asked him what that was. I said, what's an N person? Because I didn't know.
There's a town north of me, right on the Gulf side. It's called Steenhatchee, and it's like kind of like an island type area, and there's a bridge, and they used to have a sign there back as late as the '90s, and on that bridge heading out of town said, "Do not let the sun set on your black ass."
Huh.
Can you imagine that
I just
in the
can't.
'90s?
I mean, I guess I can because it's obviously happening, but it we haven't come very far out of the cave, in my opinion.
Now, and to me, it's ridiculous.
It is.
It's moronic,
Yeah.
absolutely moronic. There's definitely, like I said, people act differently. There's, people. I know white people that act differently around black people. I know black people that act differently around white people. Whether you call it what you want, being phony, adapting, but it's a cultural issue. It's not a skin color issue. It's a cultural issue to me. Now, I haven't heard anything from Frank, so it must be getting good.
Yeah. It
You
must
know?
be.
Someone asked, Cecil Hotel, I think, asked, and I couldn't answer this. Maybe you can. How does this work? Like, is it a majority decision? Like, if there's 9 justices, is it 5-4, and then that's what carries, or what happens here? Can you guys explain that?
Well, the judges have received and reviewed the complaint, right? And they've already discussed it, and that's why they're having this hearing. Now, the reason they're talking to both sides is because they want to make their final decision based on what they say. It's kind of like an officer pulling somebody over for speeding. There's 2 ways that can go about this. You could be like, all right, this guy's getting a ticket. He was speeding, period. He's getting a ticket unless he can talk me out of it. Or there's the other officers that would say, all right, I don't feel like writing a ticket, but if this asshole says one thing out of the side of his mouth, I'm going to give him a ticket. So it's the same way. They want to talk to both sides. They've already made a decision, basically. They've already discussed it. But if one side or the other can change their mind with their testimony today, but they've already got everything they need to hear.
And
It's just a majority.
It
then?
is a majority.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's how it just how it works for the U.S. Supreme Court. State Supreme Courts are run the same way. So, yeah, it's a majority rules.
Now, it doesn't appear, from what I'm seeing, it doesn't appear that the judges are just like blanket agreeing with the state
I think that's
either.
important that they don't.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
Someone just closed their folder up as I'm watching here. So I wonder, they talked about, so if you had a half an hour, and let's say Richard Allen's people talked for 20 minutes, they would have then 10 minutes to respond. Is that how that worked?
They have to give up that time. Mm-hmm.
They give it up in the front. So if he talks for 20 minutes at first, he could come back 10 minutes later.
Yes.
Angela Sanchez is talking now.
Yeah, it's kind of like a direct examination, then cross-examination.
He's the counsel for a respondent.
Yeah, they want to see what they do.
Now
I'm looking in that other channel as well, and I'm looking at the comments.
What did you say, Kev?
Someone has some really cool socks in the front row.
Oh,
Just,
oh yeah, the purple ones.
Those are nice. I like. I don't know who that is. Yeah.
But if you look,
Kevin from the murder sheet. I'm just kidding.
Oh no, I don't think that's him. I've never seen him wear suits like that. But hey, maybe I can't see his hair, so I can't tell if it's him.
Maybe it's Bob.
Yeah, that's front row. Bob's a star. I'm telling you, he's gonna have his own court TV show before you know it.
Maybe it's Bob.
Oh, it looks like that channel that I was talking about. They're streaming it from another person's channel that we all know. She's pretty
wow.
Yeah, she's pretty popular. She's streaming it live, and they're streaming it off of hers. I wouldn't even want to try any of that. You'll end up losing your channel over something
you see
like
what
that.
Jumpin' Jack Flash says, WRTV Indianapolis has live stream now on YouTube. Could they have a deal with the court or something?
The media may be able to do it with a delay or something, if they have one group.
Cecil,
But I
yeah,
wouldn't even
Kristen
want
said
to risk it.
I
You know,
wouldn't
if I
want it either.
majority, Cecil.
yeah, if I thought it was okay to do that, I would do it. But I mean, that's taking a big risk. You lose your channel over something like that.
You certainly will, because they were adamant that nobody was going to be able to live stream this except off of their website. You could watch it live, is what
Yeah.
I'm
No, this person is definitely streaming it live. I'm looking at it right now.
saying. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting.
I'm going to go look real quick and see what WRTV's got.
I have it up on my phone and it's giving you captions. I don't know if it goes pretty quick, but the lady's talking and it gives you the captions underneath.
Well, this other channel, they have
Yeah,
500 people watching. And
well, it's one way to get a bunch of viewers, isn't it?
yeah, but that's crazy. That's crazy. Wow.
570 people are watching WRTV's live stream. And Chief Justice Rush is talking.
I'm going to watch it later. I want
I'm
to
gonna watch it later as well.
Yeah.
It's saying here that WRTV doesn't have closed captioning, so you can't. It's not available for this live. So
I'm on the website. The state website has captions, like the official link or whatever.
Right.
yeah, this other channel's just got everything, video and audio.
It's really interesting. The people that want these, they just hope and pray they reinstate these two clowns. That's what's going on in their chat on WRTV.
Yeah, I can't see them reinstating them. But like I said, I don't care if they do. We'll have a
I
fast
don't either.
trial maybe.
I'm cool with whatever the Supreme Court says. You know,
I'm going with them. I feel the same way.
I think, like you, Ruckus, the evidence, regardless of who the judge is and you could have Joe Pesci talking about two Utes in there as an attorney. The evidence is the evidence, and I think that's going to be the key factor.
Yeah. No, Anna Lisette, I believe that there will be a decision for very quickly. This case is a criminal case. They know that it's been sidelined because of all of this, so I expect their written decision quickly. They wouldn't have heard the case if they weren't gonna. And because it is a criminal case and it's so high profile, all eyes are on Indiana right now. Trust me, other states are weighing in and watching to see how this all pans out.
Yeah, this is so funny. I'm looking at the comments in these two other channels. And it's Julie Melvin is very active in one of them.
I'm surprised. Lord. I'm surprised she wasn't there.
Yeah.
Frank called me early this morning, and when he told me that they were the only two YouTubers there, I was like, "What? What?"
Yeah, I was shocked at that too.
I was shocked. Mm-hmm. But then he told me that the murder sheet was there. But they're there as journalists.
Yeah, and Bob is there as well.
Bob. Yeah. And well, Bob's an attorney. He is a YouTuber, but I consider him a lawyer, just like I consider you a law enforcement officer.
Mm-hmm.
And Coach Kev is a YouTuber, but he's a fireman. I'm sorry, you guys aren't just YouTubers.
Yeah, I'll tell you. To me,
that guy looks like Adam Sandler. Are you watching?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, he does. But just looking at the comments in these other people that are actually streaming this is hilarious. They're definitely pro defense. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, I
don't think this argument's swaying anybody.
Pull her from the case.
Yeah.
What has that got to do with anything?
and that's my point. No matter what happens in this case, there's still going to be, different sides.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not a moderator in here. If somebody would post up Frank's Cash App, please.
Yeah, well, one of the mods post the Cash App, please, for Frank.
It looks like the only one in here was V. Marie. We should have talked about this earlier. He should have made us mods before this.
I didn't think about it.
Yeah, Miss Thang has left. I think V. Marie left. So
I think this thing was at work.
double dipping.
Yeah,
I love Miss Thing. She is, and
I do too.
her husband's a musician. And one night on, hey Deb,
Deb's here. Hey Deb, can you post Frank's
Cash App,
please?
I remember I was on LA's show one night and I was moderating, and the whole night I was posting my Cash App, not his. It was hilarious. He was he didn't even catch it. Took forever.
He's in the same boat as me with football, Ruckus. His Eagles disappointed him too.
Yeah.
No, they really crapped the bed. The Steelers weren't supposed to win.
My grandson's he'll be 20 on Saturday, and he's a huge Eagles fan. And he was disappointed. I think the only redeeming thing that made him feel better was that Dallas lost.
Oh yeah.
He was thrilled about that.
Sure.
He said they were overrated all year long.
Yeah, but I'm a Patriots fan, so we're on to the draft.
There you go.
That's the way I look at it. We're on to the draft. I was surprised they put Mayo in there, but when they had a chance to get Vrabel, but Kraft seems to know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Deb.
I thought they were going to go with Vrabel too, Rock. I really did, but it seemed like they had Mayo waiting in the wings because that was quick.
Yeah, Mayo is a great player.
Yeah, he was. People don't realize. That's what I told my kids. Who's this guy? I'm like, that dude was a stud on a lot of them teams, man. A lot of them great defenses that switched from week to week, depending on who they were playing. They were phenomenal.
Well, he's an Alabama guy too. So. Yeah, but the Patriots drafted a lot of Alabama defensive players because Saban and Belichick were close.
Yeah, I think he had a.
But now you look. I'll tell you one thing, just to get off of this court subject. I don't agree with this whole transfer portal thing. All these players can just jump team to team, college to college.
Yeah.
Academics play no role in it anymore.
When's the last time you heard of a player being academically ineligible in college in any major sport?
I know
you used to hear that guy can't play for 3 or 4 games.
Half of my high school team, we won the Super Bowl in '81, and half of those guys went to Boston College. They played during the Flutie years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here to tell you, one of the guys, I'm not going to mention his name, but I know him very well. He could not read or write. Wow. We're talking 5-10 years after he went into the NFL for a little while. After that, he still could not. So he went through high school and college on his athletic ability. And I'm okay with that. I don't, who cares? It has zero effect on my life. But don't hide behind this, academically they're not eligible to play football, You get these guys that go to Harvard and Yale and Brown and stuff like that. They are academics who play football, but you just don't see many of them in the NFL either, though.
Guys on my high school football team were tough. After they sacked the quarterback, they went after his family. Rodney Dangerfield joke.
Lord. The chat on WRTV is just absolutely insane.
Is that down the middle, Kristen, with people that think he's guilty and not, or is it leaning one way or the other?
This is all leaning. There's somebody that actually said that this case needs to be moved out of Indiana. It's completely corrupt. You can't do that. I'm like, I'm floored that people don't know how the system works.
They don't care how the system works.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And until they get forced to be a part of it, to participate in the system, then they'll care.
Yeah, then they'll care. For
Yeah.
sure.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's pretty one-sided from what I can see. Everybody is thinking that his old attorneys need to be put back in and she needs to be kicked off the case.
Wow. And that would be local people, I would assume, mostly, right? On a local news station.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe
this is
not.
WRTV. I mean, I don't
You would
know,
think.
but
Yeah.
there's people that are in here that are against him. You know, there's people in here talking about how poor his health is, and they're like his health goes back and forth. People think that they planted the shell casing. He would have never put the gun if he actually committed the crime. Just, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just reading through the thing. It looks like there's a guy for Allen that's up there, and he's maybe using his rebuttal time or whatever, because I see it's almost noon.
So this must be on WRTV is showing this delayed because this is the woman that's talking.
Oh
there
yeah,
now.
the guy.
So they're
the
not
guy.
doing this live.
Okay, maybe that's what other people are doing too. You think?
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
you're watching it live, so you know what's happening. So I don't know. Somebody's watching Court TV and somebody's watching WRTV and the live stream from the court.
Yeah, a bunch of legalese here. I'm not sure exactly, but he's holding up. He's being animated. This guy, this attorney, just by reading his body language, he seems to be making an argument that he feels is compelling.
Yeah.
But they're naming different cases and stuff like that, and that's I don't have that law brain for sure to understand what they're going. Gonzalez was a case they mentioned, and they keep saying Wheat. I think it's Wheaton. If there's cases anybody wants to look up, that's what they're mentioning. I don't even know if they're in the state of Indiana or not.
Right. There's a lot of people watching WRTV that are from Indianapolis local.
Okay, that makes sense. I would think that too.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely interested to hear what Frank has to say.
Yeah, I'm
when he
interested
comes
to
out.
see what Frank's take is on what he's heard.
Because like Ruckus said, being there, and again, I know you've been there. I'm going to be out there this spring for to go to the trails in Delphi and go to the house where the house stood in Florida, even though it's not there anymore. I'll be at both places, but to be boots on the ground in there, and especially today, sitting next to cops, maybe you hear something, maybe you hear something you can't say, but it leads you. Well, now I need to go look into this or move down this rabbit hole or whatever, if you will. So I'm definitely interested to hear what he has to say, and maybe get somebody. Could he grab somebody? Hey, Bob Mott, I want to come on my channel real quick. And Bob Mott likes cameras, so the cameras like him back. So maybe he'll come on. Hey, everybody.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, you can look at this case and what's happening right now with the old attorneys as malpractice. And maybe that's a word that people understand better than negligence or whatever, but she considered what they had done was malpractice to their client. And that's why she ruled the way she did. So you'll have to see what the court says. Do they believe that as well?
Yeah.
And I don't care one way or the other. I want to see this case move forward. I'm tired of it being drug out.
Yeah.
That's not fair to anybody.
I stand by And I'm going to continue until the gavel drops on day one of the trial. I stand by that he's going to plead out.
And there's so many people, Ruckus, that believe the same that you do, that he's going to take a plea. And my question is, what will they give him as a plea?
Well, there's
Because I don't think anything short of life in prison without possibility of parole is anything that McClellan would be willing to table.
well, the death penalty hasn't been put on the table yet. They can still do that at any time.
Right.
I think that they have not. Just the way that they charged him, tells you that there are others involved. I mean, right from Jump Street, they could have just charged him with murder with the evidence that they have. But there's other people involved. So if we now know it's kidnapping. We now know it's kidnapping.
Mm-hmm.
So why charge him with that as well? Now, some folks are saying, well, they don't have to prove anything other than he kidnapped him. They don't have to prove that he killed him. Well, then who did?
Well, I'm just saying, for the way the Indiana law is written, he can be charged with their murders just because he took them off that bridge. Because if that happens, if they die because of the act of committing a crime, you've killed them, even if you did.
I don't know if you heard me before, but the hearing's over. They all walked out, and they were dismissing people like a wedding. First row, second row.
Oh, geez.
So I think Frank should be coming up pretty.
It
looked like the way it worked out, that Lehman guy that was there for Allen, he had the last word. So maybe they went 20 minutes. Maybe the state used their whole 30, and then they rebutted at the end. Is that how that works, Ruckus?
Yep.
Yes.
They kept it
That's how
on
they were. Okay.
Right at the hour then. They would.
Now, the justices didn't have to do that. If they only had 20 minutes and that's all they used, the justice could have said, okay, well, that's it. But they were nice enough to give them time.
Yeah, because he came back and rebutted it.
Well, that's a good move on his attorney's part. That's a good move.
Yeah.
Let's see what the state has to say, So now, I from what I understand, and I could be wrong, I'm not well versed on this side of it. I'd have to get with Bob Motter or Mark Lopez. I text with him as well. He's a great guy, Mark Lopez. He's awesome. To find out how long they have to render their decision, but I guarantee you they're going to lean towards a resolution as quickly as possible. And I don't mean their decision. I mean, they want this to get to trial. It's been a year that this guy's been in custody. And for anybody that's never worked in the system or understand how the system works, just the fact that this guy is still in custody tells you a lot.
Yep.
It tells you a lot that the state has a lot of evidence against this person.
Here he comes.
All right, I'm back, guys. Just finished.
There he is.
Hold on, let me turn my volume up. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
It was the same shit as we've been hearing prior to them coming in here arguing back and forth and what the judge was able and not able to do. Basically, all it was all about.
Did the Supreme Court say when they're going to render their decision, Frank?
They said that they will get it as soon as they can.
Okay.
But it almost sounded like that they were talking about putting back Rosie and Baldwin back on the case.
I hope they do.
If they do, they do.
Yeah.
Let them.
I hope they do.
I was supposed to do an interview with Jerry Holman and Dave Vito, but they told me to call them at the office.
Okay.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it.
Huh?
Well, there you have it. Let me know when you're going to do that, dude, and I'll share it on my community page so everybody knows about it.
Yeah, sure.
They specifically, Dave Vito sat right next to me.
Are you okay?
And he knew who I was right out the bat. I was like, how did you know who I was? He said, I know who you were for a while.
You're the Frankmeister.
Frank, they know who we all are. Trust me. They know all of us.
Yeah. Well, I think he said, aren't you Frank or Shane or something? I said, yeah. I said, how'd you know that? He said, man, I know all of you guys.
Yeah.
I was like, really? So, yeah, it was just the basic same arguments that the Attorney General had filed and Winnicky and all them filed. That's all they did was repeated themselves from the files, the motions they filed. That's all they did.
Now, what gives you the opinion that they're going to reinstate them? Why are you making that?
I'm not saying they are, but it just the way they were coming at the state was like, what do you mean that they were incompetent counsel and things like that? You know, and they're trying to determine what the difference between incompetency and something else.
Frank, I think that they had to do that for the optics of it.
Yeah. Well, no, we're getting ready to walk outside here, guys, so I can get out of this noisy room. Where are we at? We're in the wrong area.
Are you out of the phone booth at least?
We're downstairs now.
It's such a beautiful building.
Oh, yeah, it's gorgeous in here.
I mean, these old courthouses are just incredible.
I don't even know where we're at. She came back. She came down a different set of stairs. There we are over here.
Now, Boston Christian said that they're talking about photos being released.
Yes, they did talk about the photos being released, and that's why the state was saying it was incompetency on their part.
Okay.
So we just have to sit back. I think they're going to have a decision by the end of next week, I think, because they're trying to get this case moving along, is what the justices were saying.
Yeah.
What do we need to do here to get this case moving along? So I'm kind of on the fence right now. Hold on, I'm about outside, guys.
Okay.
I'm kind of on the fence on trying to figure out what the justices were, what they're thinking, because both sides had good arguments. There was no doubt about that. But I think what the defense was trying to pull is saying, well, she didn't want to have a hearing. Rosie wanted to have a hearing, and the judge wanted to have a hearing too. But the judge was wanting to basically publicly humiliate them on the 19th, and they weren't going for that. So, and that's why they basically they put their withdrawal forms in because of that.
Sure.
They didn't want to get publicly shamed. Is basically what they were saying.
Yeah, and I agree with Anna in the chat that if they reinstate Rosie and Baldwin, they're going to have to put some kind of sanctions or restrictions on them.
Well, I think what's going to end up happening is if he gets convicted, there's going to be grounds of appeal for incompetent counsel is what's going to end up happening. Right.
Oh, yeah. He's got grounds for appeal either way already.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, and they kept talking about the weak presidents, and the justices said that the weak presidents does not have anything to do with this case. And so I don't even know what the weak presidents is, so I'm going to have to look it up and research it and see exactly what it says.
Did they say that to the state or to his attorneys?
It was to the state.
Okay.
And then the defense came back up and did their rebuttal for 7 minutes and was saying we had nothing to do with this case. So it's really hard to say what the justices are going to do right now. So we're just going to have to sit back and wait.
You have really screwed this case up because Ruckus made the point this morning. No matter what happens here, if Richard Allen is acquitted and found not guilty, the chance of them being able to charge someone else with this crime and
very slim.
It's going to be slim to none.
Right. Well, I mean, you got to look at the O.J. Simpson trial case too. They closed that case after they found him not guilty because they weren't looking at nobody else.
Right.
So that's why I'm going to call Jerry Holman and Dave Vito and talk to them about this. Say, hey, look, back at the very first hearing in Delphi, Nick said that he believes there could be other actors involved. I'm going to ask Jerry, are you guys still thinking that or not?
Right.
Because we need to know this. Are we looking at a lone wolf or multiple people?
Yeah.
And then I want to talk to Dave Vito about Keegan. and find out what I can get out of him about that. So,
Good luck there, dude.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know that he's going to talk to you about that.
well, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't, because Keegan's already in prison.
Yeah,
Because
Keegan may have immunity though.
he
Unless
has,
he's involved in this case, right? Can't talk about it then.
Right, exactly. So, but we just got to the vehicle, guys. You guys still want to hang around? It's up to you. But I'm going to do another live stream tonight and go
What
over
time,
everything.
Frank? What
Yeah,
time
I'm
you
gonna
going
hop
tonight?
off
Do you
here.
know?
I would say I'll set it up for 8 o'clock.
All right, everybody in the chat,
Okay.
around 8 o'clock tonight. Frank will be on. I said I was hoping you'd be on tonight, and you are. So
Yes.
that's great.
I was
Kristen,
too.
are you going to be on tonight?
Am I going to be on tonight? If
Yeah.
you're going to be on, I'm going to be in yours. I'm going to come to yours.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get off here. We haven't had nothing to eat, nothing to drink in the last 5 hours, guys. So
You need to
if
go
you
get
guys
some
want to
lunch.
continue with the live, you can. If not, we could just end it right now.
Yep, I'm gonna jump off. I've got some stuff to do, but I'll see you tonight.
I'm going to jump
Okay.
off too. I'm doing a show at 3. But thank you, Frank. Thank you, Rescue All Dogs, for going. Kristen,
Yes.
Ruckus, I had a blast. Frank, Ruckus behaved himself mostly.
He did mostly. We had to corral him a little bit,
Yeah.
and we had to get the rubber hose out and threaten him.
Right. Hey, I appreciate all 3 of you guys for taking care of my channel while I was in the courthouse. I'm much appreciated. Ruckus, you've been there before. You've done it for me before. I can always count on my peoples if I need help with something when it comes to the case. So I much appreciate for all 3 of you guys.
Anytime, my
To all the
friend.
chat, everybody that hung out with these three goofballs, thank you, love you, and to all my mods, thanks for sticking around, guys.
We'll see y'all later.
All right,
Be safe.
All right,
everybody.
good night. Have a good day, guys.
All right, bye-bye.
I'm gonna have you show the back of my car sticker.
Oh, I just ended the show.
Yeah, I know.